Okay, punters, back for part two. Question time. A bit light on this week,
which is good, probably considering we've
probably good. We've
spent an hour.
We've spent a bit of time with you on those reviews.
63 previews.
Question here, quick one from Dave Diamond on Twitter this morning. Hi guys, just wanted to know the process that John and his jockeys go through to decide what horses they're going to ride. Great show. Thanks, Dave.
Go, Dave. It's different for every grade, I guess. It's probably the answer is it's a balancing act. So you've got your stables, you've got, I'll pick on Tim, say Gay Waterhouse, he rides his majority of races for. So number one majority is usually I try and keep as far in advance I can with them to keep them happy, know where most of their horses are going, that sort of thing, and then you're slotting in around them. That's just sort of week to week normal racing. So we're talking Metro Wednesday, Saturday, Provincials around that. So it's all pretty simple. It's only when it becomes complicated when you're running into periods like now where you've got, for argument's sake, next Saturday, Everest Day clashing with, what is it in Melbourne? It's a big day. Caulfield Cup Day. So you're trying to work out, can you get on a horse in the Caulfield Cup that can take you to the Melbourne Cup? Can it win one of those two races, or do I hang out for an Everest ride? So it's just a balancing act with those sort of things. Weight is the other thing that comes into account as well. So with Tim, is he going to ride 53 or lighter, which sort of 54 is comfortable for him. Josh, 56 kind of bottoms him out. And if you go lighter than that, it's really going to hurt him, and he needs plenty of notice. So working in with them with weights, and we'll touch base on different decisions where horses clash and things like that. But this year's been much more difficult than any year before, because over the next few weeks you're going to clash with Golden Eagles, $7.5 million races, with Derby Day. I think it's a week before. Bondi's with the Derby Day. I'm sure the Golden Eagle does clash with a big meeting. I just don't know it off the top of my head. It could be Derby Day, actually. So there's big clashes between Melbourne and Sydney, and that's probably the thing that makes it extra difficult, because, it's very hard to explain to an owner, oh, no, sorry, I don't want to ride in the Caulfield Cup. It's a little bit difficult because they do take things to heart, and you say, well, I'm riding in a $14 million race up the road. So keeping people happy is the hardest part this time of year, but it's not overly involved, but it's fun. It's another process of a game. It's whether or not you're sticking with a horse for 3 runs time, or whether you're trying to find the best ride for that day. So there's plenty behind it, but it is good fun. It's just like trying to back a winner, really, but you're doing it with no downside a lot of the time. You play the long game, and the two guys that I work with are exceptional with dealing with. Today they might not be on the best horse for whatever reason, whether it's to be loyal to a stable or for that horse is going to be valuable in the long run, not short term.
So a lot of balancing.
It is, and as long as the jockey understands that you're missing out today, but in the long run we're going to be okay. And I've been with them long enough that they kind of they're incredible, both of them, honestly. Yeah. But a lot of the riders can get a little bit touchy when they've ridden this horse track work or trialled it or whatever, and then someone else is on race day and they get the shits. But there's no point, So I'm lucky to have two jockeys that are not like that, and that have good stable supporting them. So it's not the most difficult job in the world, and it's good fun.
Great, good question, Dave. Mitch has sent an email in and asked quite a few questions, so we'll probably just break it down as it goes. What are your views on the current Australian betting landscape? And what would you like to see change? We'll deal with that.
I'd love to see minimum bet limits of about 50,000, and from the minute they put them up. Oh, Jesus!
Well, what's your current view?
It's in big trouble.
On where things are.
It's in big trouble. It's in big trouble from a professional punter's perspective more than anything. From a recreational punter, it's probably never been better. Because if you don't win, and you've got and it's just entertainment for you. You've got toolboxes and friggin' folds and boosts and everything, and cash back coming left, right, and centre. Like it's the greatest thing on earth. But from a professional punter's perspective, or someone who wants to win at the game long term, it's shrinking, and it's very difficult to bet especially without affecting the markets. and it's hard to average. Like where you want to say put a few thousand on a horse, you might have to average, a couple of price drops or whatever across the board. But now the way that goes,
the PAC is just
that's sort of the final nail in the
massive,
coffin in them taking any risks. They don't. No bookmakers want to take any risks. I don't care who it is, with any punter they think's got any idea. So that's hard, and it's only going to shrink. We've just I think BetEasy's going into. Are they jumping in with Sportsbet?
I think it's the parent companies emerging.
Yeah. So eventually they'll merge, or even if they don't, it doesn't matter. I don't think, because it becomes a situation like BetStar and Ladbrokes, or
there'll be directional influence there.
Yeah, and eventually they'll say, well, no, you can, minimum bet laws wise, well, you've already backed this to win 1,000 with BetEasy, so we're going to reject your bet with Sportsbet. So it's shrinking the pool even more, I think.
Yeah, well, we've seen a bit of consolidation, and there seems like there's going to be more.
Well, it has to, doesn't it? Because the choking of the taxes and the dominance of a few places is going to destroy the landscape for the smaller players. I think you've got guys like Top Sport and that try to make a difference, but
well, they're doing
very
a great
difficult.
job. I mean, one of the few that of the corporates that are, and having a decent crack and putting up some bigger limits and
taking away a few things that they
like
just can't win at. Say your bonus bets or whatever it is on Victoria. Anywhere they know they're getting destroyed, they're trying to cut that back for the greater good, to give everyone a better chance, and which is, credit to them for that.
Look, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I continually remodel the way I'm trying to bet, and really it's more about adjusting to the climate.
The actual landscape, that's right.
And that's the problem, is that the PAC has had a big impact. I mean, for quite a few months there, I was doing a lot of early betting and beating the SP considerably, and that was going well, but even that's now harder. And so I think I'd have to say that most of my turnovers last 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, you nearly love it from a punter's perspective if they're going to allow this minimum bet law with these stupid little limits, and they're allowing them to put them up 4 days early and basically get everyone else to work their market out for them at no exposure.
Very little exposure.
You'd rather them go back to not being able to open the market until race morning or 45 minutes before.
Yes, I'd like to personally see. I think the industry, the betting side of it, would prosper if there were no early prices. Now, I know that that's not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. It's probably not going to happen.
But the question is, what would you like to see change?
Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to see.
If minimum bet laws aren't going to be stripped completely apart, and like they've missed, there's so many loopholes. It's not anyone's fault. There's just so much to cover with it. Like even access to quaddies and things like that. Like they're allowed to destroy the pools by holding these bets, but they can be selective on whose bets they take.
Yeah.
So they're taking away from the parimutuals. Which so like I can't bet with any corporate on an exotic, but I can't bet with the tote because all the corporates have raped the exotics. So they're just completely strangling a lot of the industry that people haven't even looked at. How's it solved? I don't know. There needs to be a huge.
There has to be an overhaul.
There has to be.
The PAC needs the review. I think it's not working. The way they intended.
Yep.
It all sounds easy and straightforward.
Well, it's so difficult because when politics and money and everyone wanting their fair shares involved, then it becomes very difficult to collaborate across the board.
People who don't understand the wagering landscape,
well, they just want the lot.
Making decisions.
Yeah, they just want the lot. They think they're poker machines.
I'd like to see the minimum bet laws apply from the moment markets are put up.
As a simple adjustment, absolutely.
As a simple adjustment.
Yeah.
But broadly, I'd like to see the early markets disappear and either have betting 20-25 minutes before, which won't happen. We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
But maybe.
But even if it's say 9 a.m. on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So the time they go up, that's when they're going to bet.
Yeah.
And they've got to take a bet that's in line with their turnover.
That's right.
Not in line with.
And they should be. Look, I still don't understand why we can have bookmakers on course being obligated to bet you.
Well, okay, so it's 1,000, right?
5 on
I used to but I'm saying it's 1,000 on any normal a out wide race.
Yes.
That's the same as Bathurst that race once every 5 weeks, and the bookie lives up the road and goes there, and he probably takes 5,000 with him to the races. So that's what he has to bet you at Bathurst. And then if he leaves the price there, he has to bet me again.
That's right.
He gets a chance to adjust.
The price off, he's still got to bet you again.
That's right.
If you want it.
So I can just keep there. Like I remember going to Bathurst ages ago, and nearly got bloody arrested by the things they wanted to shoot me at the end of it, because it wasn't me, it was for another, but I backed the horse from like 3-1 to 2's on or something, and it was just, he didn't care about the price. It was madness what I was doing. Horse wins by a nose, I nearly get shot, but they keep going. They had their chance to turn it off, and I might have taken 5,000 or 6,000 off each of them.
And that's one thing that really annoys me, is the fact that we get one lick, or I get one lick, so I can take the price for sports bet.
Yeah, but you get one lick for 1,000. So this guy's holding, he might hold 10 for the day at Bathurst. They're holding $1 million a race. How does it make sense?
What I don't understand is if I back horse A to win 2,000 with sports bet on a metro race.
That's it.
And let's just say the price goes out again.
Yeah.
Or let's say the price comes in, which it invariably
Either
does.
way, it makes no difference, actually.
Why can't I go again?
Yeah. So I think the only ones that do allow that are the tabs, obviously.
Tab does.
And I appreciate the way you bet do it, where I think it's like 90 seconds or something they block you out for, and readjust the price. So that's fair enough.
Yeah.
You've got a chance to So if you're betting late, like really late, you're only going to get on once.
Yeah.
But if they've got 60 seconds or 90 seconds to readjust their price, I think that's fair enough that the legislation should be that minimum bet laws at the advertised price. If you take it, you've got 90 seconds. So that's not a hard programming thing.
So let's move on to Mitch's next part of his question. What was your experience betting back when corporates used to restrict people just for winning? Do you find that some corporate bookmakers still engage in this type of behaviour?
When corporates used to restrict?
When. So
is that saying it's yes?
I think he was talking about when they just buy you, just blanket before minimum bet rules. There are plenty of corporates I don't bet with. I can name a few if you like, but maybe
all of them.
Well, look, no, I don't bet with Neds. I don't bet with Classic Bet. I don't bet with.
No, me neither. Anyone that you're scared is not going to be there overnight. I know that a lot of them are sold out, but it's hard to keep track of them.
It's hard to keep track.
Well, there's definitely companies that make it as difficult as possible, whether it be circling around for 5 minutes to take a minimum bet or whatever it is. They obviously do not want your business. They've got a huge reputation for any sort of bet that looks a bit fishy, that they think might be a bowler, that they're big on cancelling those bets after the race, after the horse has won. They don't cancel them before the race. They wait for the horse to win, cancel it, refund your bet, and then say, well, just take us to the tribunal. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Most of the corporates now are pretty good in terms of honouring the...
Well, if they know you, if you've got a history with them, there's no doubt that they just... But again, they don't...
I can't say I've got any real problems.
They don't do you any favours.
No, there's no favours, but I mean, but they do agree to uphold what they agree to. So
they try, that's right.
So maybe it's best to just sort of maybe make your own arrangements.
They push the line of the law, which are the laws that they've written in a lot of cases, to the absolute nth degree. Which is, everyone. If you're a shareholder, you're clapping, but if you're an industry participant, it's starting to get a bit crazy. So, yeah.
Okay, what are the differences in terms of bet sizing between country, provincial, metro, and how limited are you by the liquidity? Well, the bet sizes in country, provincial are, dictated by that.
Well, they're 50% straight away, right?
Versus metro. I don't bet in the country, very rarely.
Neither do I, except for Monday to Sunday.
Most of my stuff's metro and a little bit provincial. Liquidity, obviously a problem, ongoing issue. Betfair.
Well, liquidity, country, provincial on exotics and things is basically gone, nearly zero, unless you can get on with the corporate. As opposed to metro, where it's still okay.
Yep.
Win betting, the markets are extremely volatile. There's no doubt. Country, provincial, compared to metro, getting closer to the race, not as bad, but still definitely more volatile.
There's still not great liquidity there.
It's horrendous. Yeah. It's horrendous, really, when you think about it. Like I know I've talked to owners and things like that. Say back in the day when it still costs $5,000 a month to train a horse. Right, so you have the pleasure of say it takes 2 to 3 months to get that horse to the races. So there's 10 to 15 behind you are.
Yep.
You get to a race and the prize money's never been better in New South Wales. Say it's a country horse and you're racing for $22,000 to the winner roughly.
Yep.
So you win your 11. It's taken you 4 months to get it there, 3 months to get it there. You're now minus 4,000, even though you've done as well as you can. With that sort of horse. Back in the day, you used to be able to get that horse ready, back it, and say to win 20, 30, 40, 50,000, whatever it was, you could do it.
So,
what I mean?
So the money was in the punt.
The money was in the punt, and it was, and that's how little trainers and hobby owners survived and had some fun with the game. and not that long ago, you used to get bonuses if your horse backing your own horse.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You'd get a
Mark
10 or
Reed-
20%
Mark
loyalty
Reed,
bonus.
I think, started that back in the Darwin All Sports days where he'd give owners a bonus.
Yeah, and if now, because it's so computerised, the whole industry, say I ring Sportsbet and say, listen, I know you've restricted me, but this is my horse and it's $3 and I want to have 2,000 on it. It's an owner's bet or what, and you can, I'm just telling you it's my horse. You can look in the book and you can handle it how you want. Sorry, sir, we don't care. Just go away. You know what I mean? There's no personal dealings with any of these the corporates. They're all just conglomerates now. There's no such thing as an account manager or anything like that unless you're a big loser, and then you can get on for what you like anyway. And then they're looking after you, they're VIPing you, they're taking you everywhere that they want. But
While you've still got some money.
While you've still got some money, that's it. So it's lost that side of the business, and because the bookies are sort of falling away too. There's nowhere for a hobby owner or even any owner that's not a big loser to turn. So there's plenty of things that are really being affected.
Are the prices better trackside for metro meets in Sydney and Melbourne compared to the online market? Well, in Melbourne, my mail is that they don't push as hard, so they tend to stick more towards the VOP prices. Whereas I can absolutely assure you that in Sydney there is a lot more aggressive.
So Sydney did fall away a bit, as in like follow Betfair and things. I think they've now got to be more competitive. So the only way they can ride a bet is if they only run their books like they used to 1,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Like they'll often push
you've got
prices
like
beyond Betfair.
You've got Sandro to more, so if you're betting smaller, say to win 1,500, 2,000.
Yep.
You know he'll typically be the
on the higher price.
I'd say across the board. He's
okay.
I'd say that most races he might get down to, between 100 and 206.
Yeah, which is great.
At the best prices that he bets. So he's quite willing to, and especially early.
He wants to ride a bet.
He wants to ride a bet.
Yeah.
He's doing his best.
Whereas Melbourne, I have seen as well, like you're saying, I know there's phone business, but it's pretty much ghost betting. Like there's not that many people in the ring, and they all go off without riding a bet. So they're, as you said, they're just following
they're
market
much
trends.
They're much more aligned to the VOP, whereas in Sydney
especially
price.
favoured runners, like shorter price betting. I think it's a big difference at the end of the year getting $3.30 compared to $3. That happens a lot.
We talked about a few examples of short priced horses.
Yeah, you were talking about that. Arcadia Queen.
Arcadia Queen was one where it was $1.95. All the corporates, and it was $2.15 on track. Also with Blue Bet, so same organisation, same joint, and a massive difference in percentage.
Yeah, and you get on to win
minimum 5,000 minimum, and you can go again. And if you want to back one to win 50, you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah, which is impossible on track. So there's only upside to
off track.
Yeah, off track. There's only upside to participating, or at least monitoring on course prices if it's in your wheelhouse, like you need to get on for a certain amount, or you're able to even.
And Betfair obviously is a great tool too. Late and on the metro meetings, there's reasonable liquidity.
Yeah. It's not as if the world's finished, as in punting wise. It's just a lot.
It's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder, and it's not fair in a number of ways, which is what annoys me more than anything.
Gone are the days where you'd back something to win 10,000 and they wouldn't even.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair enough that if they think they can't beat me or whatever it is over time, that I should be able to get on for whatever I want, carte blanche. But it's got to be fairer for everybody. And I'm not saying that I'm a genius. I'm just saying, like, as an example, I understand that there's certain people that their business is not as fruitful as others, but they've still it's not a closed shop. They're bookmakers. They're not.
That's right.
Not providing entertainment. They're providing a betting facility.
That's right.
Yeah, there's risk. There should be risk involved.
There should be. Okay, so Tom's sent an email in. Heard a lot of commentary regarding Brutal's win in the Premier, how advantaged he was due to the other horses being primed for an Everest. I'm sure you guys will break down how the race eventuated in the review, which we've done.
Mm-hmm.
However, do you think that some people forgot on the flip side of Brutal's grand final was also somewhere down the track? So I suppose what he's really saying is, well, most of these horses are going to the Everest. There's more risk associated with knowing what they're.
And that's what like you see next line, which is only important. Does it put a kind of stink on the race? Look, it does. It does. I think it does for Classic Legend, which is what we talked about. Yeah. I think he's the horse. Like Oswald's gone for a spell. He's gone. there's no doubt that Classic Legend it had the jump on Brutal fitness-wise. It had a run. The tempo suited Brutal. His trial was really good, so he's obviously pretty wound up.
It's still reasonably tough to sit OSL in first up.
Massively, but he's getting ready for a 1500 too. So,
yeah, but he was a lot more forward in his preparation.
I tell you what, it does excite me, and I know she's a fit horse racing a horse that was getting ready. Is if you want to go back and watch the trial of Elise and what she did to Brutal, and she's come and galloped since, and apparently it was insane. So if you take a line through that, Brutal's come out and bashed Classic Legend 2 weeks before or 10 days before. Elise's absolutely smashed him to pieces in a trial. It's only a trial.
Yep.
But who do you want to back out of Elise and Classic Legend off that? I know which one I want to back. So
yeah, I mean Classic Legend is
well, he's only a very lightly raced horse. He's got no depth to his form yet.
There's no substance there.
No, but you can draw lines. If you want to talk about Everest, which we may as well, Classic Legend's just been beaten by Piarada. Piarada's in this race. Redzel was in that race. Who else was in that race? They were all Sunlight, I think, might have been in that race. So all that form ties in around the Classic Legend form.
Yeah.
So those horses are obviously getting ready for a final in 2 weeks. They're all going to improve somewhat. But if you come from a different angle and you talk about Elise, who hasn't run against these horses, Arcadia Queen, who hasn't run against these horses, Santa Ana Lane, who's coming up from Melbourne, but he ties in through Sunlight, who was only just fair.
Yep.
It's a great race from a lot of perspectives, but I think that angle of your Elise's, and especially with the introduction of Nature Strip into this race, so we should get at least an even tempo. You can't imagine him going slower than that, no matter what happens, especially over 1,200 metres. And say that everyone gets their chance. The track's fair. That angle of horses away from the traditional lead-ups, your Piaradas and all that, and even though I think he's flying, is an interesting angle. If you say all that form's average and there's upside to the Brutal angle, which is Elise, and this horse from Western Australia, who, like, I'm worried about her because I went and watched the tapes last night. Once she got to a mile, far out, she turned into an animal, you know? Yeah. So I think he's putting blinkers on her on Saturday. So if he sharpens her up, far out, like, I don't care how good Santa Ana Lane or any of these horses are, if she's close enough.
Well, I've maintained for a while that I think that Okie Queens is the best
horse.
Filly, but now mare. Yeah,
she could be the best horse in the country.
Yeah.
She could be, and like what she was doing when she got to that mile, 1,800 metres, it was just like, holy shit, like that was Winksy stuff. Like it was Winksy, that's a good word, it was Winks-like.
It was big numbers.
It was big numbers, and just the way she just extends, like, and then she's come out first up 1,300. It was nearly a barrier trial. It was embarrassing. Like what she did, she was ridden out of her comfort zone. She could just put them away in 2 strides. He'll freshen her up, blinkers on. That's a different form line to all these other sprinters, and it'll be tested. It's such a great race. It is such a great race. $6, you know, is for a horse with her profile is probably short enough, really. But she's the horse in hindsight that you might go, well, why was it at $6? You know, like imagine if she's chiming in at the 200, you go, well, what have I done? You know, like if you take that approach to it. So her and Elise are the two that I think provide the most excitement into the race with those different angles, opposing the lead up, like the Reds L's and your Piaradas and your Sunlights and Santa Ana Lanes that have all been around against each other before, and they make the race.
I suppose it'll be interesting to see what they do with the rail on Everest.
Back to True, I think I've heard a couple say, so it's gone 6 the other day. I think it went 3-6 back to True.
What was the rail last year with Everest?
I'm not sure. What sort of, was it wet again that day? I can't remember. Who raced? It was 2 years ago. It was a joke.
Yeah.
And then last time it was who ran the placings? I can't even remember. Tim was in the race, was he? Tim was in the race. What was he on? No, he was on Sunlight. Was that year or was that the year before?
American.
The first year he rode it was Deploy and all those horses. I think last year was the heavy track.
Right.
Wasn't it?
Might have been.
And because Osborne Bulls went to outside fence.
That's right.
And Trapeze Artist ran second.
Ran third. Yeah.
So it was a very different track, but I think it was True. Maybe it wasn't, because it's pretty hard to slingshot out 48 wide off a True rail at Ramwing.
I thought the rail was out.
Well, they might have kept it out because of the weather leading up. So this time, it still sets up if it's a rock hard track and they don't put any water on it. You'd think the inside's going to be pretty good. So it's going to be a great race, really. And Timmy riding
Yeah.
Nature Strip. It's going to be. I just hope it doesn't draw one for his sake, because I don't know what the hell he's going to do. But I just hope it draws a little bit out, and yeah, it'll be a good race.
Okay, guys. John Walter, you can find his stuff on racingwatch.com.au, and of course myself at ratingstowin.com.au.
Twitter driving people mad.
I don't know. Are we all primed for next weekend, John? Or?
I'm back. No, I'm here.
You're back?
I'm here. Yeah. I've got to come back. I've got to come back Saturday night.
There will be some changes to things as we get closer to Melbourne. I'll be going to Melbourne.
Yeah, I might be there, so you never know.
might be
Might
there.
line up. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
You can pay to dinner. The bill.
No, not when I've found out where you're going. No, I will go to the Scottish joints.
burger
And that. No, there's a little Chinese under a crown there that gets a workout from me, and it's not Nova. But
Right.
no worries. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.